like that.
Okay. Hashem Naaseh v'Natzliach, Shiur Torah. Baruch Hashem, we had a great trip, Shabbaton in Arizona, Phoenix, Arizona. A lot of people, if you saw any of the pictures online, Baruch Hashem, we had maybe 9, 10 different lectures, something like that, or more. Friday, Saturday night, we're only able to record 3 of them. But we posted, I think, all 3 of them today. One is another version of my personal story, but talking more about suffering and how there's actually a different perspective that you could look at suffering. You could look at it as the regular perspective, where someone suffers, just feels sorry for themselves and makes their situation worse than what it is. Or you could look at suffering as a benefit, and we talk about how it's a benefit. Another one was conversation with a bunch of teenagers, because you were a bunch of teenagers, answering like adult questions with teenagers. It's good. She was maybe like 2.5 hours, and then the third one was about Elul, Rosh Chodesh Elul, which we'll talk about a little bit today as well, because we can never really cover enough of Rosh Chodesh Elul, all of those things. Baruch Hashem, it's a big success, but one of the things, like to give you an example, of suffering, to give you an understanding of how you could apply it in your life. And because you're going to get tests in your life regardless of whether you want to or not. Whether you want to or not, you're going to wake up every day with a new test. That's the point in life. If you don't have, if there's no more tests for you to pass, there's no more point for you to live. So each person is in this world in order to pass tests, to keep growing spiritually, get closer to Hashem, and in order to grow, you have to go through hardship. Because just like, for example, if you want to grow by your body, you want to exercise, in order for you to grow your muscles, you have to rip them. It's as simple as it gets. So you have to keep lifting more and more weights over time, and keep ripping your muscles over and over again. Because if you look at it under a scan that shows you what your muscles actually look like under your skin, you'll see that right after you work out, all of your muscles, the reason why the muscles is pumped up and bigger is because all of your muscles under your skin are ripped apart. So they're all, depending on how much you worked out, they can be, you're ripping your muscles, which logically doesn't make any sense. Why would you want to go back? You're, in essence, injuring yourself. But in reality, the injury is not an injury, it's actually helping you, because over time the muscles continue to build and become stronger. The same concept goes with tests in life, whether it's lack of money and Hashem puts you in a situation where you don't have enough money to pay the bills or do certain things that you want to do in life, or not having a zivug and being alone and in many cases lonely. Or perhaps having just different types of tests, health issues, family issues, children issues. There's all types of tests. Now, the whole aspect of suffering in general is a very, very common problem in every person's life, not just Jewish people's life. But by being in this business, being in this, doing Kiruv, you get a first-hand look at a wealth of problems that people have. And every day you find out how many problems Am Yisrael has. You have some people where, marriage issues, non-stop marriage issues. Shlom Bayit is unfortunately a very big problem these days. Husbands don't know how to treat the wife. Wives don't know how to treat the husband. And there's so much confusion between the two, you feel like they're 2 different species. Not only 2 different people, it's 2 different species. One is a cat, the other one is a dinosaur. They don't know how to communicate. And then you see statistics, like certain divorce rates in certain parts of the country, over 80%. In other parts, a little lower, but still, even if it's just 60 or 50%, it's still a disaster. It still means that there's 5 out of every 10 couples is not going to make it. And then when you start throwing money into the issue, you realize, okay, wait a minute, you're going to go into a marriage, it costs a lot of money to get married because you have to have a wedding, and in today's Jewish world, if you don't have a wedding that's an arm and a leg and a mini house, then it's it's don't have a wedding. People actually postpone their wedding because they can't afford the giant wedding that they want to have, which is the dumbest thing in the world. Because first of all, the wedding's one day. It's one day. It's not a lifetime. It's a one-day event. And in reality, most people that actually have weddings and have all these big weddings, they don't actually enjoy it. They don't, because they're so stressed out about this big day. They want everybody else to enjoy. They want everyone else to, make sure they like the food, they like the band, and they like this, and they like that, and they like this. And the funniest thing in the world is if you ever gone to a wedding, every single wedding has a bunch of complainers. Either the food is not hot, or it's not good, or the band is terrible, or something was late, something was too early. There's always complaints. So you're spending a fortune feeding other people that are going to complain anyway, and you forget to even have fun. And then the best part about it is that the couples usually spend all this money and end up living with their parents or their in-laws for the next 6 to 12 months because they can't afford a house. If you just put the money from the wedding to the house, you buy the house. But that's what happens when our minds are like far away from reality, far away from Dat Torah, from the mind of the Torah, the wisdom of the Torah. It's as rational as can be when you start looking at things from the right perspective. But again, people don't look at it that way. We look too much at the viewpoint of other people. There's a good story by Rabbi Yosefi. Rabbi Yosefi does a lot of Kiruv, helps people do Teshuva, Baruch Hashem, and giant rabbi, many years, maybe 50 years already, does Kiruv. So one day he's in a taxi and he sees, they're on a highway, they're driving, and he sees that the driver all of a sudden gets really, really nervous. Turns white and starts shaking. His hands start shaking. And Rabbi says, "What's wrong? What's wrong? Is everything okay?" He doesn't answer. Just keeps looking in the mirror. Keeps looking in the mirror. He's like, "What's wrong? What's wrong? What's wrong?" Eventually, he calms down, and he's like, "What happened?" He goes, "No, you don't understand. Kvod Harav, I was driving 10, 15 miles over the speed limit, and I just passed a cop." So Rabbi Yosefi says, "Stop the car right now. Pull over right now." Pulls over. He goes, "Wow, what happened? What happened?" He's like, "Give me a blessing." "What? Give me a blessing." Yes, the Rav is asking the cab driver to give him a blessing. He goes, "Give me a blessing right now." "What blessing?" "Well, me give you a blessing." "Yes, give me a blessing right now." "Okay, Kvod, what kind of blessing do you want? Any blessing?" "What?" He goes, "Bless me that I will fear God as much as you fear the police." And when you really think about it, this is true about each one of us. When we're driving at 2 o'clock in the morning or 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and all of a sudden we see a cop on the right side of the road, even if we're driving the speed limit, we're already scared. But when we're thinking about whether we should wear this or wear that, whether this is modest or it's not modest, whether I should, eat this or eat that, whether it's kosher or maybe it's not kosher, whether we're going to go to Beit Knesset or not go to Beit Knesset, all these things that we have doubts about whether we should do, whether we're allowed to do or not. We're not scared about whether God is upset about it or not. We don't think about God. Think about whatever we want. So that's the Mussar Eskel from that particular story. But at the same token, this is one of the main things that we have to look at right now specifically, because there's a very old minhag that we have at this time of the year, which is in the month of Elul, which just started a couple of days ago, which is to do slichot. The Sephardics already started doing slichot 40 days before the before the holidays start. The Ashkenazis do less time. I think they do 10 days instead of 40 days. But nonetheless, there is a minhag that to do slichot. The problem is that a lot of people show up to slichot enjoying themselves. They come, they sing, El no alila, El no, they start singing. They chatanu lefanecha, all these nice songs. But if you actually listen to the words, like, why is anybody smiling in the Beit Knesset b'chlal? You know what chatanu lefanecha is? We've sinned in front of you. We've sinned in your face, Hashem. We've sinned in your face. We sinned. Not only we sinned, we know that you saw us sin. And we're all singing and dancing and enjoying. Now, obviously, having the mizmorim, having the music in it helps us remember it. Anytime you want to remember something, sing it. And also, it's not necessarily a bad thing to sing anything, but in reality, we've gone so far away from why we started singing it in the first place that there are people that sin all year round, keep no mitzvot whatsoever. They don't keep Shabbat, they don't keep modesty, they don't keep kosher, they don't keep talat mishpacha even. Nothing. They keep nothing. But they like to go to slichot.
Well, they come the last day of slichot.
They like to go to slichot. They go the last day before slichot. But the point is, they love going. Why? Because they like the songs. They like the music. They have no idea why we're even there. Even the whole thing is called slichot, meaning asking for forgiveness. Slicha means, apology. So we're asking for an apology, but in reality, we're so far away from Da'at Torah that we come there singing with everyone, and people think that everything that they do in life is a mitzvah. Certain people in life, that everything they do, they think it's a mitzvah. They buy a suit, they're like, oh, it's a mitzvah. Why is it a mitzvah that you bought a suit? No, that's how religious people look like. They wear a mitzvah. Okay, so I don't know it's a mitzvah. You're going to go to the Knesset with that on Shabbat? He goes, no, I'm going to go to the movies. I'm going to go to the club. Okay, so how is it a mitzvah? Everything they do, they think is a mitzvah. And they spend their life thinking that they're doing these things that are mitzvot. And in reality, some of these things are not only they're not mitzvah, they're sins. So I'll give you a couple of examples. One time I was in this Knesset, and I hear, a couple of guys, religious, black and white, beard, almost sweep the floor, the whole deal. And they're talking like, the rabbi, they're talking about the head rabbi of this keilah. The rabbi, he prayed earlier because it was Friday. He prayed earlier, I think they brought the Shabbat early. And so he says to him, yeah, but I read somewhere that to bring it early like that, I'm not sure if it's allowed. And the whole point of the conversation is they're talking about whether the head rabbi of the keilah made a sin by going and praying. Like they're talking in a negative way against the rabbi. He's, I think he's making a mistake. I think this. They're all talking about, when they're talking though? In the middle of tefillah. That's when they're talking about this. So instead of worrying about themselves to shut their mouth during tefillah, during the time we're supposed to pray, they're talking about somebody else's sin. So they're thinking they're doing a mitzvah by, maybe I'm going to help a rabbi by telling him this. They think that they're helping the world by their opinion, while they're making a bigger sin than anything else. You understand? So sometimes our minds are so out of place, we think we're making a mitzvah, and instead we're actually making a sin. Another time, I saw this is recent, I saw there's a WhatsApp group for a community, and some guy asked, I think it's a silly question, but nonetheless, I don't know whether he was joking, not joking, I don't know. The point is, he asked, listen, if I listen to the prayer online, if I listen to slichot online on YouTube, do I fulfill my obligation? And yotzei midei chova, do I fulfill my obligation just by listening to it online instead of going to the Beit Knesset at 5 o'clock in the morning? So, a couple of people answered yes, no, and then the rabbi, who knows what he's doing, says, funny that you guys are saying, does he come out, does he fulfill his obligation or not? Because the whole aspect of, the whole thing of slichot is a minhag anyway. There is no obligation. And as a matter of fact, if you're a Talmid Chacham, that, or you are involved with Torah on a regular basis, and you, it's good to do it, it's good to do slichot, but if you're a Talmid Chacham, you're involved with Torah all day, and going to slichot at 5 o'clock or 6 o'clock in the morning is going to interfere with your studying for the day,
Don't do it.
don't go to slichot. Because your value of your Torah learning is much more valuable than you going to slichot. Obviously, you should try, but that's if you're actually really seriously learning all day. Not if you're going to learn at 9 o'clock at night. It has nothing to do with 5 o'clock in the morning. If you're going to actually learn, during the afternoon, throughout the day, like an avrech, then yeah. So the point is that, so the rabbi was telling him, it's not a chova anyway. It's good. It's a great minhag. It's an old minhag. And it's something that both Ashkenazis and Sephardics do at different times. But nonetheless, it's a well-known minhag. It's a very good time to do tshuva right before Judgment Day. So, the rabbi says, it's just a minhag, so there's no chova. So then some guy comes out and he goes, no, actually, Rabbi, I actually found it in this book that you're wrong. That it says this, and this. It says, it quotes something. And then which is going against the rabbi's opinion. And the rabbi showed him that obviously he's wrong, the rabbi's right. Now here's the thing here. The guy that found this mistake, or what he thought it was a mistake, thinks he's doing a mitzvah. He thinks the rabbi made a mistake. I'm going to let him know and let everyone know, the whole group know, 100, 200, 300 people, however many people are in this group. I'm going to let everyone know that the rabbi just made a mistake and I found the correct answer. Chazak u'baruch. Mitzvah, no? It's 100 million% averah. It's 100 million% horrendous sin. Such a big sin. There's actually a story about it in the Torah. In Gemara, Masechet Brachot, there is they ask about Prophet Samuel. So one day, somebody goes to the Kohen Agadol, to the Kohen, I think it was Eli the Kohen, and they ask him an halacha about korbanot. And Eli the Kohen is not sure of the answer. And Samuel says, no. Don't you guys know? The halacha is ABC. Tells him what the halacha is. And the Kohen says, yes, you're right, my son. But now I have to kill you. Because as it says, the halacha is, if you say an halacha in front of your Rav, chayav mitah. Death penalty. For embarrassing the rabbi in public. The rabbi's job is to say the halacha. You took it upon yourself. If you ask for permission, say, Kvod Rav, can I say it? And the rabbi says, yes, you're allowed to say it. But you said, somebody asked me a question, and you took it upon yourself to say the halacha, chayav mitah. It's a death penalty. It's a repentance. It's a horrendous sin. Embarrassing the rabbi in public, embarrassing a Talmid Chacham, horrendous. So his mom, Hannah, was crying hysterical. And he's like, don't worry, I'll pray for you to have another kid. I'll pray for you. He was a Kohen Gadol. He's a giant, most righteous person in the nation. She goes, no, but I want my kid because that's the one I prayed for many years. And what ended up happening is he let him go. Under what precedence? So he said, even though he knew a lot of Torah, he was only 3 years old.
Oh.
He's only 3 years old. So already at 3 years old, he already knew more Torah than the entire world here together. But the point is that he's considered still a minor, even though he knew Torah that's higher than adults and even his rabbi. But the point I'm trying to say here, this is where we learn how significant it is in the eyes of Hashem of the words that are coming out of our mouth. So when a guy thinks he's doing a mitzvah, tells everybody, no, the rabbi's wrong. Rabbi's wrong. Even if you found something and you think the rabbi's wrong, which is unlikely, but let's say you think he's wrong, you have to learn some manners. Go tell the rabbi privately. Send him a private text. No, Kvod Rab, I think you may have made a mistake. This is what it says in the book that I found. Because even if you're right, you're not allowed to embarrass him in public. Because what happens, if you're right, he just lost all credibility in all of his keilah. I say, wait a minute. One of the keilah members knows more than the rabbi. Who wants to listen to this rabbi anymore?
Exactly. That's what they
just killed his position. So this is something, unfortunately, that happens a lot. A lot. Well, people think that they're doing mitzvot and they're making one of the biggest sins in the Torah and embarrassing their rabbis in public. It's just like one time there was a guy in a field, and he sees, he has what's called watermelons, and he sees his next door neighbor going like this, but there's nothing in his hand. He goes, "What are you doing?" He goes, "I'm planting." "Well, what are you planting?" He goes, "Watermelon." "You don't have any seeds?" He goes, No, these are seedless. Seedless watermelons. Instead, the guy, it's sometimes people think that they're planting something. They have a mitzvah, but not only do they not have the watermelon, they have nothing. They have nothing. So that's one of the things that we have to learn, especially during the month of Elul. One of the most important things we need to learn every single day. But in Elul, specifically, you got to learn some Mussar. You got to learn how to behave like a human being. Derech Eretz Kadma LaTorah. You have to learn how to become a human being and start treating people the way they're supposed to be treated, whether it's your wife, it's your children, it's yourself even. Can't say Lashon Hara by yourself. Say, "Oh, I used to be a big sinner, I used to be this." Can't. There's no toilet. There's no benefit to talking bad about yourself. It's just the Yetzer Hara trying to convince you to, might as well don't do tshuva because you already made so many sins in the past.
To put you down.
You're never going to be a tzaddik. Look how many sins you made in the past. Look at the sin you made this morning already. You tried the tshuva, or okay, fine, you kept Shabbat for for the last 3 months, but look, you turned on the light by accident. Might as well violate the whole Shabbat. Might as well drive. Might as well go to the casino too. You know what? Let's divorce your wife, go to the casino, find a woman and marry her there in Vegas. Yetzer Hara will put all types of crazy thoughts in your head, and it starts with something small. What is it like? I told this story a while back, but it's always a good story. It's a very good story. My mom told me this story. It says the Yetzer Hara, there's a divrei Chazal that it says that the Yetzer Hara ba la'adam ke'ani. The Yetzer Hara comes to each person like he's homeless, poor. He's saying, "Rachem alai, rachem alai, please have mercy on me, have mercy on me. I don't have any sins. Look, you have so many mitzvot. Give me one sin. Give me one sin." But as soon as you give him one sin, he says, "Okay, so now we're friends." So he becomes like friendly with you. Then the next thing you make another sin. Now he's like a regular visitor. He's oreach. He's in your neshama, please. Standing on your heart, comes to visit once in a while. "Oh, give me a few more sins. Look, remember last week you gave me one sin? This week, be a little more generous. Give me 2. This is really last hour. You gave me one sin. Give me 2 this hour. But I'm giving you guys kaf zchut. It's once a week only. For myself, even, I'm giving more kaf zchut. So he goes from being a acquaintance to now he's a regular visitor. Next thing you know, he turns into the Baal Habayit. Next thing you know, he owns the whole joint, and he kicks you out and takes control of the whole place. What is it like? There was a story my mom told me. Said that one time there was a guy knocked on the rich man's door. He says, "Hi, I see this mansion you have. I wanna buy it. I wanna buy a piece of it." Rich guy says, "No, I'm not interested in selling it. It's my house. Cost me, $10 million to build this house." You go, "No, I don't want to buy the whole house. I just want to buy place for this nail. That's it, just one nail." Guy's looking, "What? Nail?" He goes, "Yeah, I just want a place to put my nail. I'll give you $1,000 to put this nail in your wall." Even though the guy is very, very rich, got a $10 million house, he goes, "This idiot is going to give me $1,000 to put a nail in my house? What do I care? Sure, okay, fine, no. Go, pick a spot." So he goes, he picks a spot to put the nail, puts the nail in the wall. He's like, "Oh, thank you very much, nice doing business with you." They signed the contract. Chazaku Baruch. Made a deal. He gave him $1,000, signed a deal. Okay, the next day, at 11:30 at night, the rich guy is woken up with knocks on the door. So who knocks on my door at 11 o'clock at night? And he sees it's the same guy with the nail. He goes, "Yes, I can help you." He goes, "Oh, I just want to put my hat. I want to put my hat on my nail." It's 11 o'clock at night. He goes, "That's why I'm going to go to sleep. I don't need my hat right now. So I'll put my hat on the nail now." Okay, no, yada. He gave me $1,000, whatever. Fine, go put the hat on the nail. Next day, at 12 o'clock at night, even worse than the night before, woken up again. "Yes, how can I help you?" Because my jacket, I actually have 2 jackets. This jacket I don't need, so I want to put that on my nail. "Can't you come early?" "No, I just finished with my jacket now. I was using it all day. I put the jacket there." Fine. And every night, he keeps coming back.
And the millionaire's regretting it.
And the millionaire is regretting every second that he let this guy in. After a week, the millionaire says, No. Listen, this can't continue. You coming in the middle of the night every night to put your jacket, put your hat, put your camera, put this on the nail. No. No more. Here's your $1,000. No more nail. He goes, No. I already bought it. We have a contract. I'll take you to court. Okay, let's go to court. So the rich guy feels very comfortable going to court. He's a multimillionaire. Who does this guy think he is with his nail? They go to court, and the judge says, No, my friend. He signed a deal. He owns that piece of the house. And if he doesn't want to sell it to you, you can't force him. So you have to open the door whenever he knocks and let him put his stuff on the nail. So the guy, every single night, I need to put my hat there, my jacket there, my sneakers there, my nail there. I just want to check to see how my nail is doing.
12:30, 1 in the morning.
All different types of odd hours after a month of doing this every single night. The rich guy says, "You know what? Take the nail and the whole house. I'm moving. I'm leaving. Can't take this anymore. Every night being tortured at 3 o'clock in the morning with your stupid nail. I'll just go buy a new house."
What are you going to buy?
So what is this? So this is the story. This is the funny part. What is it like? It's the same thing like the Yetzer Hara. Yetzer Hara comes to us like a little homeless guy. He can't afford the whole house. Says, "Let me just buy a little piece of your heart. Make a small avira. Instead of doing tefillin on time, do it at 12 o'clock in the afternoon. Small little issue." Next day, he says, "You know what? Instead of wearing a kippah that's, wear a hat. It's not really a sin. Not a big deal. You're covering your hair. It's not a big deal. It's actually, you could even justify that it's even better." A few weeks later, okay, the hat's really not comfortable, and I don't really, the kippah doesn't really look good. Let's make it a little smaller. So now the kippah becomes the size of a quarter. The next thing is okay, so this tefillin thing, do you really have to do it 6 times a week? Just do it whenever you can. Be easy on yourself. Only 3 or 4 times a week. Next thing you know is, Come on, do you really have to eat kosher everything? It's candy. It's jelly candy. What's the big deal if you eat jelly candy that's not kosher? What, Hashem really cares about what kind of candy you have? What kind of a God is this? He's not busy with the rest of the world. He cares about your candy? Not thinking about the fact that this very same candy that's jelly candy has bones in it. How do they make gelatin? Gelatin is crushed bones. And it's not crushed bones of a kosher duck. It's crushed bones of usually very cheap animals, which tend to be either the bones of pigs and sometimes even horses. But the point being is that you're thinking you're eating a little jelly candy. What does God care about your little jelly candy? What does God care about your non-kosher chocolate? Now realizing that the food coloring in a non-kosher chocolate, where does it come from? Different types of beetles. Hashem really cares about your chocolate? Yes, you actually just made a worse thing eating that chocolate than eating a nice steak of a pig. But the little nail now became a permanent visitor. Within a few months, when you make a little chocolate that's not kosher, and the kippah gets smaller, and the kippah gets smaller, and then all of a sudden, you look at the phone on Shabbat, and all of a sudden you forgot the TV on Shabbat, and it's okay, let's just watch it. Little by little, go, pass, it's okay. Little by little, the Yetzer Hara that started off with just one nail took over the whole house. And that's how the Yetzer Hara works. So if you let him in with a nail, thinking that you're doing okay, little by little the Yetzer Hara takes control, and you get yourself into serious trouble, and then you have to go through the whole process of Teshuva again. So, one of the most important things that we can learn in general, not just during the month of Elul, but in general, is we need to learn Mussar every single day. You need to learn how to behave like a righteous person every single day. Because if you learn only halachot, which a lot of people do, a lot of religious people spend an enormous amount of time learning halachot, which is good. Problem is they forget about midot. So you could have a guy that's a halacha king. He knows every halacha, whether it's relevant or not. You ask him about the halachot of korbanot, which we can't use anyway, because we can't do korbanot. We can't do sacrifices right now. We don't have a Bet HaMikdash. He can tell you this korban you're doing this time and that time and this korban. He tells you all these halachot, which is great. It's good. You're supposed to learn it. So Chazal says learning the halachot of korbanot is the equivalent of making the korbanot. It's as if you made a sacrifice. So it's good. Learn it. You want to learn it? Learn it. But it cannot go at the expense of your midot. Meaning you cannot be this halacha robot, but you don't know how to behave like a human being. And this is the one thing that a lot of people forget. If you have to choose midot or halachot, obviously assuming that you know the basics of halachot. If you know nothing, then you probably don't have midot anyway. But if you know the basics, you know what Shabbat is, you know how to keep kosher and so on, and it's you have to make sure that you learn midot. Now a lot of people that are Talmidim Chachamim, people that actually learn a lot of Torah, even at the time of the Ramchal, Rabbi Chaim Moshe Luzzatto, wrote one of the most important Mussar book in history, about 300 years ago, called Mesilat Yesharim, Path of the Just. The sages of every generation say that each Jew must read this book at least 100 times. It's a very, very simple book, and he puts things into perspective of how do you become a holy person. How do you become a holy person? Now you have this version, which is from Feldheim. It's both English and Hebrew. There is another version of it, and maybe from Feldheim also, if maybe from somebody else, actually maybe from Hart Scroll, that actually has commentary also. in English, and obviously in Hebrew. And we actually used to learn this on Shabbat. A group of us used to learn this on Shabbat. I used to teach it on Shabbat. Every Shabbat we'd learn a little bit of it. But anyway, very, very deep book. It's unbelievable how much wisdom is in this book. But the part I want to mention now is actually, you mentioned, before the book itself really starts, where he talks about how to become a holy person, what's the purpose of life, how to become pure, how to fix yourself, and so on and so forth. He actually writes a letter, an introductory letter, and he starts the letter showing what real humility is like, and he says, I'm not here to give you any chidushim. Nothing that I write in this book is a chidush. It's like a new thought, which is really not. It's actually, almost the entire book is chidushim. But he was so humble, he's like, no, you know everything. Everything that I'm going to say in this book, you already know. It's all common sense. I'm just here to remind you of the things you already know, but don't spend much time thinking about. Which, yes, there's a lot of things that are common sense, but he goes into each one of these common sense items in such a deep extent that it's a complete chidush, especially for our generation. But anyway, says, I'm not here to give you any chidushim. All of these things you already know, I'm just reminding you. And then he says, the reason why I'm reminding you of the things you already know is because a lot of people that spend a lot of time learning Torah view the issues of Mussar and Midot as something that's beneath them. It's not as sophisticated and as complex as the pilpulim of the Torah, of the sophisticated, complications of figuring out how we arrived with a certain halacha. How do we go, in the Gemara, it's not like the Shulchan Aruch where they tell you this is the halacha A, this is the halacha B. Yes, no, yes, no, yes, no. The Gemara tells you how they got there, how they arrived at this specific halacha. So it's like you go in the beginning thinking, oh, see, you are allowed to sell idols because you're not worshiping them. But then you say that's the first page. Second page is like, no, that whole page, they're all wrong. You're not allowed to sell it. Okay, so now so they're not allowed to say it. Not allowed to sell it. Okay, fine. Then the third page is like, wait. You're not allowed to worship it, but you're not allowed to sell it, but you may be allowed to benefit out of it if you found it. Because you didn't buy it. So then you think, okay, so I'm allowed to benefit out of it. And the next page, like, no, you're not even allowed to benefit out of it. If you find it, you actually have to take it to the Yam HaMelech and destroy it. It's like, oh, okay. And it keeps going back and forth. Every time you think you arrived at a solution, like this is the halacha, the whole page explaining why this opinion is right. It's not like the whole page is telling you, no, it's not allowed. It's like the whole page is telling you why everyone says, yes, this could be the reason why it's actually allowed to benefit from an idol. And then at the end it's saying, no. All of that would have been okay if A, B, C were the qualifications. But they're not. So it's not allowed.
The Talmud does that one, right?
Ken, Gemara is Talmud, same thing. No, Shulchan Aruch just gives you the, I may have misstated it. Yeah, Shulchan Aruch just tells you A, B, C, that's it. Gives you the law, that's all it is. With the Gemara, the Talmud, gives you how we arrived at it, but it gives you every single possibility that could have happened. And you keep going back and forth thinking, okay, idol worship, yes. Idol worship, no. Idol worship, maybe. Idol worship, maybe yes, maybe no. Maybe, and it just keeps going back and forth, and it sharpens your brain to a completely different level. And the Ramchal says, yes, this is very important. This is the highest level of Torah. And a lot of people like to learn that, and it's good that they learn it. The problem is that they're learning it at the expense of their midot, where they're only learning the halachot. They're only learning the sophisticated things while ignoring completely the simple things. So you have a guy that knows halachot like a best robot in history, but even having common courtesy to help a friend out to tell him that his tefillin is not lined up, to lift this talit that fell off in the middle of Amidah and you finished and he didn't finish, or anything else, small things, doesn't have those qualities of a human being. He sees the guy is looking for change to pay the guy and it's embarrassing. He's at the cash register. He's missing $1. The cashier can't just say, I'll pay for the dollar. You have the dollar. You have plenty of money. You have $50,000 in the bank. But you're letting the guy break his head looking for the dollar. Oh, what do I have? It goes in this pocket, in that pocket, this pocket. And the guy is sweating already because of this embarrassment that there's a line of 15 people waiting for him because he's looking for $1. He doesn't have it really. And this guy that knows all the halachot, he's thinking, he should have been prepared. Like he's thinking he's right. He's doing a mitzvah by teaching him a lesson. It's a lesson. He's embarrassed. It's disaster. So, Ramchal says, yes, it's important to learn halachot. Yes, it's very important to learn the pitpulim, sharpen your brain, but you have to be a human being first. You have to be a human being first. And this is one of the things that a lot of us forget, is that if you're not a human being, you're not learning Torah. You're learning something else. The Gemara says, a Talmid Chacham, someone who knows a lot of Torah, that has bad midot, it's bad qualities, bad midot, doesn't know how to behave, nevela srucha tova mimeno. A dead animal in the middle of the street is better than him. It's not saying someone that's an ignoramus, doesn't know anything, has bad midot, a dead animal is better. No, it doesn't say that. It says someone that's a Talmid Chacham, someone that has a lot of Torah, knows a lot of Torah, but it has bad qualities, bad midot, says the dead animal in the middle of the street is better than him. Why? It's pretty extreme. It's horrible. It's a pretty extreme statement.
Yeah.
So the story of Eliyahu Navi and Tana Devei Eliyahu. I think it may also be in the Gemara, but I'm sure it's in the Tana Devei Eliyahu, where Eliyahu Navi meets up with Rabbi Yoshua Levi. Rabbi Yoshua Levi was one of the most righteous people ever lived, went to Gan Eden alive. He's also one of the main places we find a lot of the information we know about Gehenom, we know from him. Because the Satan liked him. He said, you want me to show you? I'll show you the Gehenom. He showed him Gehenom. And we get a lot of the information we have is from him.
Why do you like him?
Tzaddik. Satan likes tzaddikim. As strange as it sounds, the Satan likes tzaddikim. Yeah, that's the Malach HaMavet. He actually, even though he gives us a hard time, even though it's his job to give us a hard time, to give us a test, but when he sees somebody constantly beating his tests, he likes them. Moshe Rabbeinu, when Moshe Rabbeinu came up to Shamayim, Mount Sinai, each one of the angels, after he won the argument against the angels, the angels said to Hashem, Hashem, why would you give it to these humans? What's this human doing here, Bechlal? Here with us in Shamayim, holy things that are here. What is this human doing here? Why are you giving him the Torah? And Hashem said to Moshe, no, tell them. Tell them why you're here. Moshe said, I'm scared. They're going to burn me with their holiness. They're all fire, these angels. So Hashem said, okay, hold on to my chair. I'll protect you. And then answer them. And Moshe Rabbeinu says, the Torah says, Kabed et avicha ve'et imecha. Respect your parents. You have parents? Who's your parents? Where's your mom? Where's your dad? Torah says, keep kosher. You guys eat bechlal? You don't eat. In all of these different laws in the Torah it says, do not steal. You guys steal? You guys don't steal. You don't have free, the ability to steal. What are you stealing? So obviously this Torah, when it was written, was meant for mankind. It's not meant for angels. So he beat them in the argument. Each one of the angels gave him a present, and the Satan himself came and gave him a present. He gave him a present which we learned about a month or a month and a half ago in one of the ParaShot, that present that he gave him is a certain prayer that we actually do every day. That you say during during the times of problems, like dear problems, like that's the prayer that you ask for Hashem's mercy. And Moshe Rabbeinu used this prayer. So nonetheless, the Satan actually liked him and gave him a present, gave him a very big present.
Which prayer was that? Shir Ma'alot?
No. Shir Ma'alot, no. That's Shir Ma'alot is a Tehillim. This is Hashem, El Rachum V'Chanun, El Chapayim V'Rav Chesed V'Emet. You say it in Slichot actually also. So he went, he saw Gehenom, got a lot of information. A lot of that information is actually in the book Reshit Chochmah, Masechet Gehenom. There's a section that just talks about Gehenom. Unless you're high level in Torah, don't look at it because you won't sleep for a while. It's very, very hardcore stuff. Right now it's only available in Hebrew because the English-speaking world is too politically correct to publish it. It's 100% true. There's proof of that, so no one thinks I'm just insulting the English-speaking world. For many, many years, this book was not translated into English at all. It's a hardcore book. It talks about Kedusha, it talks about serious, serious things. It's 2 books. It's 2 big books. It was not translated at all, but in recent years, they translated it. But they only translated the part that doesn't talk about Gehenom. The one book that doesn't talk about Gehenom. So, you don't need to be any more clearer than that. Whatever, anyway, point is we have a lot of information from there, and it's a very, very deep book, very interesting book. There's obviously other sources as well, but nonetheless, one day, Eliyahu Navi is walking with Rabbi Yeshua, and they pass a dead animal, Neveda. And Yeshua covers his mouth, and Eliyahu Navi nothing. He just walks by it, doesn't bother him. Dead, smelly animal, doesn't bother him. You guys ever smell a dead animal? It's disgusting. So then they go to the Beit Knesset, and they see the president of the Beit Knesset come out of the Beit Knesset, tall, good-looking man, dressed nice, and immediately Eliyahu Navi covers his mouth and his face. Ooh, I can't take it, and walks away. So Yeshua says, you have to explain your actions. On one hand, that the animal didn't bother you, the smelly animal that bothers everybody else, maybe you don't have a sense of smell. So maybe that's why it doesn't bother you. But obviously you do have a sense of smell, because when we passed by the president of the Beit Knesset, and he was wearing his, very expensive perfume, you were covering your face like it was a garbage pail. Explain. So the Eliyahu Navi says, the animal, I was able to see the good qualities that it has. Even now it has good qualities. He goes, what qualities? He goes, it still has its nice teeth. He goes, okay. He goes, so it didn't bother me. I saw it's one of Hashem's creations. It died. It still has nice teeth. It's a good quality. But the president of the shul, his bad qualities are so bad, I couldn't even take it because I couldn't see or smell any good qualities left at all. His gava was so big, his pride was so big, that it smelled to me. I couldn't take it. So the Gemara says someone that has Torah, has a lot of Torah, can be Torah as much as Moshe Rabbeinu, they even say. Someone that has as much Torah as Moshe Rabbeinu has bad midot. Not only is he considered worse than this dead animal, but on top of it, you're not even allowed to study from him. If he's not considered like a fair person, and he's too much of a chauvinist, too much of a, not chauvinist, a prideful person, something like that, not even allowed to study from him. Not even allowed to learn from him. There's nothing, because his Torah It says in the Gemara, Lo b'shamayim, meaning his Torah is not from heaven. His Torah, he's learning like a history book. He's not learning the Torah. Because the Torah, the main purpose of the Torah, is to sharpen your midot, to make you a better person. So if you're still learning Torah, and you're not becoming a better person as a result of it, you must be learning something else. Lo b'shamayim, it's not from heaven. Your Torah is not from heaven. So this is one main thing that I think is very, very important to remind ourselves of right now during the month of Elul, because we spent the whole year learning the parashot, we spent the whole year learning halachot, which is all very good and very important, but we don't spend enough time learning midot, learning how to become better quality people. And the reality of it is that if we gave the Mussar true value like it is worth, we could actually reach much, much higher level of Kedusha than we can if we learn all of the halachot. Two proofs I can give you. One proof is if you look at the Gemara, Masechet Avodah Zarah. Masechet Avodah Zarah, I think it's page 27, but I may be wrong, but it's definitely Masechet Avodah Zarah. It gives you the exact instructions of what it takes to go from a regular person to the holiest level of people, to the level where you can bring back the dead. It tells you what you need to do. It's much an instruction set. I'll give it to you. It's over here somewhere. Ain't it? So much it gives you an instruction set of how to get to a point of being such a holy person that can bring back the dead. You want to bring back somebody from the dead? Here you go. Tells you how to do it. Let's see where it is. It's only if I'm right about the page I'll open it. If not, then no. Yeah, it's not 27, it's 20. 20b. Is it? Okay. The rabbi is taught in a Bereta. And the verse states, this is using the source of Sefer Dvarim, Deuteronomy chapter 23:10, which is next week's parasha. It says, when it says you shall beware of any evil thing, which in that particular case it's talking about Gam Abrit. It's talking about don't waste seed. When we talk evil in the Torah, is talking about the tumah that happens at night, which is someone that has a seminal emission while sleeping. So, in essence, what this Gemara is talking to you about is, on one end, if it's happening to you at night, it's because of actions you did during the morning. You're not going to waste seed while sleeping if your eyes are clean. If you're only looking in the right places, if you keep looking at every girl that walks, of course you're going to have a seminal emission. If you keep looking at every advertisement on the internet or the television, of course you're going to have a seminal emission. In essence, if you want to be pure, you have to start learning how to run your life looking on the floor. Looking much on the floor most of the day. So, it continues. From here, Rabbi bin Chaz ben Yair said, how do you overcome this? Torah meviya lidei zeirut. The learning Torah, studying Torah, brings one to have heedfulness. This is a step. Number one is learn Torah. As a result of your learning Torah, you're going to have heedfulness, meaning you're going to start developing a sense of worry of sinning. So this will give you the ability that you are going to refuse to outright go against the Torah. You already know, because somebody tells you, come on, you want to go to Burger King? No, I'm not going to go to Burger King. Already you know, consciously, somebody asks you a question that's not allowed, you're saying no. That's heedfulness. That's zeirut. Heedfulness brings one to diligence. What's the diligence? It's telling you in Hebrew, zrizut, which is also, this is by the way, the same pattern of how he's doing it in Mesilat Yesharim. I explained the chapters are broken up and it tells you the details of what each one of these words means. So the zrizut, he's talking about, or diligence, is being proactive about avoiding sin. Meaning, unlike being heedful, where if somebody asks you, do you want to go eat Burger King? You say no. This one is you don't even put yourself in a situation where you're going to be even next to a Burger King. Or you're not going to put yourself into a situation where you're going to go next to a, and hang out so much, spend so much time with a guy that eats Burger King every day. So you're not going to put yourself in front of that test. Okay. Zrizut meviya lidei nekiyut. Diligence, will bring you eventually to get to moral cleanliness, to being cleanliness, which is nekiyut. What's cleanliness? This is the level of when you've mastered being heedful, you've mastered being diligent. Not only you're avoiding sin, but you're pretty much staying, you're not even putting yourself into that situation. And now you got to the level where you have the sense of comfort that you're clean. Your hands don't have any blood on them, pretty much. That's where you're at this point. Nekiyut meviya lidei prishut. Cleanliness brings one to asceticism. What's asceticism? This is in Hebrew, what is it called? Prishut. Asceticism is self-denial, where it says that someone is going out of his way in order to avoid even permitted pleasures, even things that are allowed. He's going out of his way to avoid it. So, for example, he knows he's allowed to go eat out at a at a restaurant, a nice big steak. But he says, listen, if I go to this, I may put myself in a scenario where I sit next to a group of women that are not modest. Yes, I'm allowed to go to a restaurant. There's nothing wrong with going to a restaurant. But I'm putting myself at risk. Putting myself at risk that I may be in a situation where I'm surrounded by immodesty. Or I'm putting myself in a situation where I'm going to eat too much and look like not exactly the most holy person that I'm trying to be. Someone eats like an animal, it's not exactly the holiest thing in the world. You ever see a Gdol Ador eating a 30-pound steak in front of people? In general, the giants don't even eat in front of people, bechlal, at all, like ever. You don't see like pictures of Rav Ovadia eating. You don't. Why? Because eating in general is not exactly the most pleasant thing to see. And also it could create issues as far as manners and so on. So generally, most like big rabbis don't eat in public at all. But the point here is not that you guys can go to restaurants, don't worry, it's not allowed. He's saying this level, after you've mastered these other first two things, and you're clean, you want to get to the next level, you're going to get to a point where you're going to stop doing certain things you're even allowed to do. This is if you want to be a holy person. Okay. Next. Plishut meviya lidei tahara. Asceticism brings one to purity, tahara. So now, purity is a level that when someone's completely clean from all sin, like he doesn't have anything on his hand, he's not only is he staying away from sin, he's staying away even from things he's allowed to do, just to make sure there's nothing not kosher on his hands. Something serious. I have a cousin, Tzaddik, Meir, in Israel, Tamid Chacham, Mash Matmid, after he did Teshuva 20-something years ago. That's it, he married the Torah. Married the Torah, Mash, all day, all night, married the Torah, that's all he wants, all he cares about, nothing. Unfortunately, he hasn't gotten married yet. He's 42, 43 years old, really good, handsome looking guy, but he's completely committed to the Torah to such an extent that he refuses to work. Doesn't want to work. Hashem is going to pay for the bills. Hashem is going to pay for the bills. I don't know. When his father passed away a few years ago, he moved from he was living in Jerusalem at the Kollel in Jerusalem. He moved back to Netanya to be with his mom, to be support and so on. But the guy is serious about Torah. Last time I was in Israel, I heard he's already at a point where he's monitoring his food intake. Meaning, he's already at a point right now that he wants to make sure that he eats an exact amount of food, so it can never be thought that he's eating too much. So he weighs his food. He weighs the egg, how much it is. Make sure that he eats exactly what he needs to survive. No more. Doesn't want any pleasure whatsoever from this world. This is for people that are just starting Teshuva. It doesn't make any sense. It's crazy. But this is the mind of someone that's mamash trying to be like an ultra holy person. This is the type of stuff that they do. If you look at, for example, at Mekubalim, people that are real Mekubalim, not the stupid people that are lying to people telling them they're Mekubalim. Like really people that are Kabbalists, real ones. They do a lot of things that the rest of us think is weird. Like everything that they do, they don't do it in a way like we do. For example, I already did a bracha so I could drink this second drink. But if I was, let's say, a Kabbalist, drinking that sip would not be like that. He drinks it, the Kabbalist thinks about other things. He thinks about the names of Hashem, or certain holy names in his mind, and he takes like 3 sips in a row, and then stops, and he thinks about some other names, and he takes 6 sips in a row, and then stops, and this is how they drink. It's a completely different world. So, now you can't get to that point without looking and dissecting every single part of your life, making sure that when you cut your nails, there's no chance in the world that a small piece of nail went on the floor. To such an extent, Gemara says, throwing your nails on the floor is sakanat nefashot. It's putting it's life risk. If a pregnant woman walks over a broken nail, or a nail you cut and you put on the floor, she could have a miscarriage. Hamash, 100%. Yeah. It's because your nails are 100% tumah. They're impure. So, they say someone that's righteous throws them out in a garbage, but someone that's like chassid, it actually talks about, I think, in Mesilat Yesharim, someone that's like ultra righteous, meaning he goes above and beyond what he's supposed to do, like he does even more. Like the one that wants to get extra credit in Shamayim. There's the guy that wants to get a passing grade. Okay, so I'm going to get whatever. I'm going to get even 90 or 85. But then there's the guy that wants to do extra credit. He works 3 weeks on the same thing. He wants to get 120 on the test. Because that guy burns his nails. Burns his nail, which in today's age you could also throw them into the bathroom. It's considered the same. Into the toilet, not and flush them. But you have to make sure that none of them go on the floor. Because if they go on the floor, it's very dangerous. But what happens if it just flies off and you can't find it on the floor? Then you just have to sweep the area. And even if you can't find them, if you sweep the area and they moved out of the place that they were in when they originally fell, then you remove the danger.
I didn't know that.
So it was worth it for you to come just for that. So the people that are looking to get to the point of purity says you've pretty much mastered these other levels before it to the point that you're not even, there's no sin on your hands whatsoever. You're even greater than the guy that reached cleanliness that we talked about before. Now, after you've gone to Tara, to purity, Tara meviya lidei chasidut. Purity gets you to the point of piety, being a chassid, a real chassid, not just a guy that wears a shtreimel and and a nice little string around his belly because he thinks that's separating the erva from the rest of his body. No, let's talk about a real chassid, real in the Torah chassid. He says piety is the one that's a tribute to someone that goes, like I said before, beyond the letter of the law. Whatever the law is for everybody else, even for someone that's righteous. Even for someone that's clean of sin. Even for someone that's pure, which is even above, he says, Chassid is even above him. Someone with chumrot, as well, all the aspect of stringencies. You're adding stringencies to yourself. Like, for example, going to the mikveh every single day. Every day. Not like, once in a while. A guy is not obligated to go to the mikveh, but it's good. You go to really, really holy people, they go to mikveh every day. Someone that prays extra early. Someone that sleeps a lot less. You know, they go to sleep, I don't know, 12 o'clock at night. They wake up at 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. They start studying. This is, this is people that are very, very special. So, again, I'm not telling you guys this is what you have to do. I'm just telling you this is what it takes to be like the Ramchal or these levels. But there's actually instructions of how to get there. So at least you know, okay, you want to be able to bring back the dead? Here's the instruction set. So, purity, piety, Chasidut meviah lidei anava. Once you're a Chassid, then you can get to the point of actually having, listen to this, actually having true humility. Liot anav. A lot of people think that they're humble because they don't talk about how much money they have. Hey, listen, I'm okay. Guy has $300 million in the bank, and he thinks that he's being humble because he doesn't talk about the fact that he has $300 million. That's not what we're talking about here. Talking about here is somebody that's like Rav Steinman. If Rav Steinman wanted, he's maybe 102, 103 years old right now. One of Gdolei Ador. If he wanted, mamash, if he wanted, you get $100 million tomorrow if you really wanted. But you go to his house, you think he's like homeless. The homeless guy almost has, it's mamash, like something that completely separating himself from all material. Disregarding material to nothing. And if you ask, for example, they asked one time Rav Kanievsky. Rav Kanievsky, also one of Gdolei Ador, and he, from what we know of what he learns every year, he learns the entire Gemara, both finishes the entire Shas of Bavli, Talmud Bavli, the entire Shas, which to a genius takes 7 years. Him finishes it every year. Also the Yerushalmi, which also takes about 7 years and even more difficult than the Bavli. This is all in the same year. Talmud Bavli, Yerushalmi, the entire Shulchan Aruch, which again, to a really, really smart person, 7 years, 7.5 years takes to finish the Shulchan Aruch. All of the Midrashim, the entire Tanakh, and some other things pretty much. All every year. All of them, every year. You ask him, Kodav, do you need anything? He goes, yeah, I just need to learn a little Torah. That's it. I just need to learn a little bit of Torah. I need to learn something. Someone finishes Daf Yomi. They go to Chavruta every day. They finish Daf Yomi. They already think they're Chacham. They think themselves a Chacham. But someone that really is glued to Hashem on a regular basis, now you see what humility really is. Now you see what humility is. It says, but that's even a higher level than being a Chassid. Being a Chassid. This is mamash somebody that is like different world. Mamash different world from our world today, especially. Like he's constantly looking for things that are going to perfect his different midot that he has, to get to a point just to make himself a closer to Hashem in essence. All of them are, but this is like removing himself in any way that he possibly can from getting any credit for anything. Like never putting himself as the light of attention. So that is humility. And then it says, Anava meviah lidei yirat chet. Finally, when you have, this is mamash crazy, but it's like unbelievable. It says, finally, when you have humility, buchaba. Humility will bring you to fear of sin. Finally, you'll be able to have yirat shamayim. Finally. Real yirat shamayim. Well, you actually, what does it mean though? Obviously, yirat shamayim has different levels. Being afraid of making a sin has different levels. One guy is afraid, the lowest level of yirat shamayim is being afraid of being punished. I don't want to go eat non-kosher because I don't want Hashem to, I don't know, give me a disease in my stomach or something. I don't want to drive on Shabbat because I don't want to get into a car accident, chas v'shalom. I don't want to, all types of things. People are afraid. That's the lowest level. This is not what we're talking about here. We're talking about here fear of sin. It's fear of something, fear of a sin that will lead you to have even the smallest damage between the relationship you have between you and Hashem Yitbarach. Just like, for example, a married couple. Now, the married couple, if it's a healthy couple, which we're running out of in the world, but nonetheless they do exist, Baruch Hashem. Healthy couple is not afraid of each other beating each other up. But they're still, if they're a healthy couple, they're going to do certain things that are going to sometimes be outside of their nature. So, for example, if a guy, let's say, is, I don't know, very into his work and so on, at work, he's aggressive. He's aggressive, sometimes raises his voice to his employees, which is not exactly the greatest thing, but he treats his employees and work a certain way. But when he comes home, he's a little tatale. He's a little puppy. He's, yes, honey, I love you, honey, anything you want, honey, whatever you want. Even if she drives him crazy. Never raises his voice. Why? Why is he scared? He's scared of her. Not scared of her. He's scared of hurting the relationship with her. Meaning he knows that if he raises his voice, the relationship itself will be damaged. Even if it's something small, even if it's, she's not going to talk to me for an hour. Or she's not going to, feel comfortable with me for the next few hours. That alone is too much for him to handle. Or the same thing with the wife. Same thing with the wife. So that is the fear of sin that we're talking about here, where it's fear of a hurting the relationship. It's the highest level of Yirat Shamayim. The lowest level of Yirat Shamayim is fear of punishment. Fear that if I make a certain sin, I'm going to get punished. Which is a respectable level to be, especially in our generation. Most people don't even have that. They don't have even the lowest level of Yirat Shamayim. Most people do not have. Why? You see it around. You see how people behave. You see how people walk around, what they wear, how they act, how they handle their business. It's very, very clear by somebody's actions outside of the Beit Knesset whether they have Yirat Shamayim or not. Because in the Beit Knesset, everybody looks like a tzaddik. Think about it. Everybody wears a talit, they cover their head. Everybody, if you look at anybody, especially if they have a beard, for sure Mashiach. Minimum. He stands, starting at Mashiach, maybe he's going to arrive at Moshe Rabbeinu in the Beit Knesset. Outside of the Beit Knesset, you don't even know if he's Jewish, Bechlal. So, you know that Yirat Shamayim, you can't tell. You can't tell in the Beit Knesset. That's when we go up to Shamayim, after 120, unless Mashiach comes before, B'ezrat Hashem. The first question they ask you, how did you conduct yourself in your business? Not how did you conduct yourself in a Beit Knesset. How did you conduct yourself in your business? Because in Beit Knesset it's very easy to pretend who you are. In business, when it comes to money, then it's different. This is, it says in our week's ParaShat Shoftim, ולא תיקח שוחד כי השוחד יעבר עיני חכמים ויסלף דברי צדיקים. It says, you shall not accept a bribe, for the bribe will blind the eyes of the wise, of the chachamim, and make the words crooked. He goes, even with money, money will even get people that know Torah, people that are wise. Money can even make them blind. So, already they knew this 3,300 years ago because we got all of this from Hashem Yitbarach that put this into us. So now that we got to the highest level of Yirat Shamayim, we're fearing of sin. It says, Yirat chet meviah lidei kedusha. Then you can start the level of actually becoming a kadosh, being someone that's holy. Being someone that's holy. And being someone that's holy is when you've pretty much mastered all of the other things before it. all of the other qualities that we talked about before. Once you are holy, once you reach Kedusha, Kedusha mevi'ah lidei Ruach HaKodesh. Once you've actually attained the level of Kedusha, you could get Ruach HaKodesh, divine inspiration. Meaning, you get special mamash, like a special communication with Hashem Yitbarach. Things that are above human, above the norm. After you got to Ruach HaKodesh, which by the way still exists to this day, just very, very few people possess it, if anybody at all. I think the last generation was probably the last ones that maybe people attained it, but like the Stipler was one of the people that people were sure that he had Ruach HaKodesh. Maybe a few other Gedolei Hador highlight perhaps, but it's something that's not necessarily very common even in the previous generation, let alone now. But anyway, Ruach HaKodesh is once you've mastered all of these other things, then this is something that you can't even attain. You can't work on Ruach HaKodesh. This is something that's given to you. If you've reached the level of Kadosh, once you have Ruach HaKodesh mevi'ah lidei tchiyat hametim. Once you have Ruach HaKodesh, you get to a point of resurrecting the dead. Bringing back the dead. Now, how do they know all these instructions in this Gemara? Because any person mentioned in the Gemara by name, at the minimum, was able to resurrect the dead. At the minimum. That was the qualification for you to be named by name in the Gemara. If there's many places in the Gemara where it says, someone said, Sir Al-Akhad, this is what it is. They don't say it by name. So we ask, why is it that they say someone said, why they don't have his name? He wasn't, it's a big halakha, it's important. Why don't we know his name? No. He didn't qualify. Very holy person, we can learn Torah from him to the highest level. We learned the halakha from him. But he didn't qualify to be mentioned in the Gemara by name because he wasn't able to revive the dead. So that's why it's funny when people say silly things against the Gemara. They say, no, who are these rabbis that mentioned in the Gemara? What do they think they are? Like when you realize who these people really are, you realize that the best of our generation still not enough to be their students. Let alone the Amahalitz that we have in around the world. So, the instructions of how to get to the highest level, we have. More details of each one of these steps we just talked about, as I mentioned to you, definitely highly recommended to read the book Path of the Just, Mashilat Yesharim. It's a very, very good book. There's now, all of these, if you've noticed, the steps, none of them mentioned learned all of the halachot by heart, even though you need to. None of them mentioned the guy that finished the Shas 600 times, even though you need to. If you noticed, all of these midot, all of these steps that got the person from being a righteous person to someone that has the ability to resurrect the dead, all have to do with character traits, midot. Doesn't have to do with, oh, listen, he's the guy that knows the entire Talmud Bavli by heart. Didn't say that. It has to do with character traits. And this is why Rabbi Yisrael Misalant, who started the Mussar movement, or something called the Mussar movement. Mussar obviously has been around since the beginning. But Rabbi Yisrael Misalant is one of the last people, one of the last generations that reached the level of Ruach HaKodesh. How did he get it? When he was 13 years old, his rabbi told him, learn Mussar. He didn't say, go learn Gemara, go learn Shulchan Aruch, go learn this. No, he said go, of course, learn the other things. You need to know the halachot, you need to know how to behave, you need to know all, but learn and focus on Mussar. Focus on your character traits and perfect them. Perfect your character traits. Anger should not even be an option for you. According to the Gemara, someone that exercises anger, meaning someone takes this, he gets angry, takes the remote, throws it against the wall, it's 100%, it's 100% avodah zarah. It's considered in Shamayim 100% idol worship. That's how bad it is. It says that it's not just like these self-help books where they tell you, listen, if you're angry, you should just keep it inside and don't say anything. Just contain it. No, that's not what he means. If you're angry about every single thing, you're just not blowing up, what are you doing? You're just developing a cancer inside your stomach. Eventually you're going to blow up anyway. No. Mussar is to learn how to not get angry. Ever. That's Mussar. That's Torah. It's not about containing your anger. Containing your anger, a horse can contain his anger. What's the big deal containing anger? Well, if somebody is a mute, he can't speak. Okay, so he's better than, he's not yelling at anybody when he's angry. That doesn't make him have good midot. He's not only a mute, he doesn't have hands, doesn't have legs. So he can't kick anything, he can't throw anything, and he can't speak. Does that mean he has good midot? No, absolutely not. He could be angry 24 hours a day. The whole anger issue is about how to learn enough about Hashem Yitbarach to get to a point where you're connected to Him to such a level that you know that everything He does is for your best interest. Kol de'avid rachamana, tav la'avid. This is what Rabbi Akiva said at the end of Gemara, Masechet Brachot. Everything that the merciful one does, everything that Hashem does, is always the best. Not everything is just good. Everything is the best. Meaning, I have, let's say I need to go to Arizona. Again, very hot over there. But let's say I need to go to Arizona. I have several options of how to get there. I can take a plane, American Airlines, which I took and robbed me for $872 because I missed my flight. Or, I could take JetBlue, just have to go to a different airport. Or, I can go with, I don't know, maybe there's a train. Or maybe I could take, I don't know, a really fast helicopter. Or I could just drive there, it'll take me, I don't know, a week to get there. Or I could walk there, like if I want to be like Forrest Gump. I can walk there and probably not make it to the lecture ever. Or to anything, because I'll probably just pass out about a half a mile into it. Won't even make it out of Boca Raton. But, anyway, the point is I have many, many options of how to get there. Hashem, le'avdil, has infinite amount of options. He makes the options. Meaning if there's an infinite amount of ways of how to get from point A to point B, from Florida to Arizona, to Phoenix, Arizona, and let's say there's, I don't know, 1 million choices of how to do it, the choice that Hashem makes is always the best possible one. There is no other better choice. Any other choice that would have been made is worse. Meaning that everything that happens in your life, even when you made the choice, and the outcome of your choice that Hashem allowed to happen, whatever outcome is, whether it's to make money or lose money, whether it's to find a wife or lose a wife, have a kid, not have a kid, be sick, be healthy. Anything in life that Hashem allows to be the outcome is the very best possible choice that there could ever be. Only the best one. That's what Rabbi Akiva is telling us. So now you would ask me, how could a bad outcome be a good choice bichlal? Not only not the best choice, but a good choice at all when someone dies. How could that be a good choice? Right? How could I lose money be a good choice? We could understand rationally. Okay, listen, if we would have had the money, he probably would have spent it on making more sins. When he had money, he was making a lot of sins. Now he doesn't have any money, he's probably going to make less sins. Logical, it's very easy to understand that. Even a 10-year-old can understand that, right? Even if he could justify, yeah, but he could also make more mitzvot. The point is he can make more sense. So that is easy to understand. How he was not able to find a zivug, he's not able to find a wife, because the wife that he is the best one for him could take a little longer. She needs to get to a certain level to be at the level that he needs her to be in. Okay, so not finding a mate at this point, whether it's a husband or a wife, we could rationalize. Very easy. Someone being sick, someone being dead. How can that be? Now, someone being sick, again, this is obviously cheshbonot of shamayim. I'm not telling you this is the only reason. This is just a possibility. Because I know that people online, that, you know, especially the ones that hate Rabbi Mizrahi or hate me or hate Rabbi Elon Nava, they look for every tiny little microscopic word to take things out of context. This is a possibility. Whatever Hashem does, He does for His own decisions of whatever it is, but this is what we learn from the Torah. Someone that gets sick, for example, is no different than someone gets into some type of accident or someone that takes out the wrong coin or the wrong bill out of their pocket. It's kaparat avanot. It's a something that we have to that we lose as a result of repenting for our sins. So we have a certain level of suffering in order to repent for our sins, to pay for our sins. So Hashem says, listen, I see your tshuva is real. I see you're taking my Torah seriously. Start keeping Shabbat, start keeping mitzvot, start doing good things. Good, chazak u'baruch. But there's still a bill you owe me. There's still a balance. You sinned for the last 15 years straight. Okay, I'm not going to count your sins till the age 13. And even from 13 to 20, it's lesser of a sin than after you're 20, especially in our generation, since most 20-year-olds are still playing PlayStation. Okay, and they don't even know what it is to actually have a job. My generation, Baruch Hashem, I was, I guess, one of the last breed. We actually had jobs as teenagers. I mean, me and my brother started working a little earlier than that, but point is that our generation actually had jobs. When I was in high school, I had 3 jobs. I had 2 newspaper routes, I worked for a shoe store and a clothing store. And to me, that was 100% normal. To me, that was 100% normal, still being an A student, still playing on the football team. To me, that was 100% normal. That's how I grew up. This generation, you tell them just to have an A in the class is already a big deal. All right, I need to get a present, Abba. What do you mean, just get an A in a class? I need to get at least a new bicycle. What do you mean? You're supposed to get an A. Why am I sending you to school then? I'm not going to get an A. I'm not going to study all those hours just to get an A for you, like you're doing the Abba a favor. You're getting an A. That's this generation. You tell them not only get an A in this class, get an A in all of your classes, and on top of it, have a job? Abba, come on. What do you think? I'm like Moses? That's 3,000 years ago, Abba. No, it's not 3,000 years ago. I'm not that old. But this is the previous generation. It's a completely different world. Anyway, you have an opportunity to get good scores. You have to go after it. You have to try to do your best. But this generation, miskinim, they don't know. And part of it is the fault of the parents, by the way. A big part of it is the fault of the parents, because the parents have become so merciful to the point they are enabling the kids to be grown-up losers. How so? They feel like every time the kid competes, he must get a reward. Doesn't matter if he wins or loses anymore. If you competed, you showed up to the competition, we're going to give you a trophy. First place gets a trophy, 30th place also gets a trophy. In reality, 30th place not only doesn't get a trophy, gets thrown out of the competition, you're not welcome back. Today they get a trophy. Why? Because we don't want to hurt his feelings. So what are you doing? You're telling the kid being 30th place is just as good as first place, so you could be a loser your whole life. No problem. Abba and Ima will always bail you out. Chazak u'baruch for being a loser. This is the mentality that we're enabling. As parents that are telling these kids they're supposed to get trophies just for competing. So now, you have yourself obviously a generational problem here. But the point is, you get a job, you learn how to be a grown-up, and B'ezrat Hashem, start doing good things. Now, once you understand there's a bigger purpose to life, there is more to just a life than just functioning based on physical needs, then you're distinguishing yourselves from the rest of mankind that are not too different from animals. This is what we learned from Shlomo HaMelech. Shlomo HaMelech says, what is the only thing that's distinguishing you from a behemah, an animal? Soul. Because your soul has the ability to make free choice. Or choice. It has the ability to distinguish between good and bad. And you can decide to do bad, intentionally. An animal, on the other hand, has instinct. Doesn't work off of desires. It works off of instinct. If it's hungry, it's going to go chase food. If it's thirsty, it's going to go drink. A human being, on the other hand, if he's hungry, he can eat. If he's not hungry, he can still eat. Lion, if he's hungry, he's going to go chase the zebra. If he's not hungry, he's going to sit there and sleep all day. A human being can go hunt the zebra just for the hell of it. He'd go kill another animal for no reason, even if he doesn't want to eat it, just to hang it on his wall. I actually had a client one time. I went to visit him in Texas. A big fancy house. He tells me, yeah, go wait for me here. And he has this big room. I see all these dead animals everywhere on the walls, full of them. Like he was a hunter, he was a surgeon, a spinal surgeon, Dr. Jones, a spinal surgeon, and he had this whole room full of dead animals on the walls, and even some of them standing, and some of them he had so many that he didn't even have enough room to put them on the walls, so they just, put them on the floor. I don't know. I mean, on TV it looks cool to see the animal, but like seeing them, like the actual real animal on the walls, for me it's a little too much. And each one has a story. She's like, oh yeah, you see that lion? Like, yeah. He goes, yeah, that lion, it was jumping right at me and I got him. I'm like, oh wow, you're sick. You're a sick person. I was just thinking to myself, wow. Thinking to yourself, like, got him. He was so excited about this lion. Like, you couldn't just get a plastic one and make it look like a real one. You had to kill the poor animal, be skinned. But that's human beings be skinny. Got him. So where was I? Lost my train of thought. These people, man. So you have. I'll tell you guys a good story I heard today, actually. So explaining, summarizing what's the difference between someone that's holy and someone that's not. This is secondhand information, meaning it's directly from the source. As a Rav Katzin from Panama, he told a story to one of the Avrechim that learns in the kollel of Rav Ephraim. And Rav Katzin is the one that actually heard the speaker say this, heard the person that was involved in this directly. He saw this, or whatever, heard this directly from the person that said the story. So Rav Katzin said that one time, he does Kiruv. One time he was invited to this event, and he was a rabbi in Florida, and he was invited to this event, this Jewish event, where they have all these famous speakers famous Jewish people. And it's like he went there and was hoping to do Kiruv. But then he said, I got to this event and I saw all types of sects of Judaism, Reform, Conservative, Orthodox, everybody and anybody was there. Very, very big event apparently. I don't know the name of the event, but the point is that they had all types of really famous Jewish people there, I guess they were talking about unity, how everyone should be together. Fine, whatever. So he says to him, listen, the first couple of days I was there, I was thinking to myself, what am I doing in this place? This is 100% waste of time. It's like, what am I doing here? But then he says they had a featured speaker named Howard Schultz. If anyone doesn't know Howard Schultz is the CEO and founder of Starbucks. Now Howard Schultz tells a story. And Howard Schultz says, listen, he tells a story about himself. He goes, what's my connection? This whole event was about Judaism. Because, I don't really have much of a connection to Judaism. I don't keep the mitzvot, barely do anything. But I tell you guys, what's my connection to Judaism? The one connection that I have to Judaism every day. And why? Because I used to, I donate to State of Israel. Just donate to the government, different things, whatever. And apparently every year or every couple of years, Bibi Netanyahu has an event for the top 25 donors. There are a few big guys that donate a lot of money to Israel. And Netanyahu gets them together to give them like a fun day. Now, what are you going to give a billionaire or a multi-billionaire? Several times over. What are you going to give him? He has money. What are you going to use? Well, he has a day where he shows them different things. Takes them all. So one time he had this event. We had 25 billionaires on this private jet coming to Israel. And he was showing them around. Showing them to different things. But he thought to himself, showing them the kibbutz, showing them this, showing them different parts of it. It's all nice. But there's one part that makes Am Yisrael. What is it? It's Judaism. He's like, but Netanyahu was very worried about introducing them, bringing them to some kollel, introducing them to some rabbi. Maybe the rabbi is going to say, listen, guys, look, we need money for the kollel, we need money for the yeshiva, we need money for this, we need. He's like, I can't, it's embarrassing. So I got to bring them to a rabbi who doesn't need anything. Someone who's already set. So, there's a rabbi that died a few years ago, Rav Natan Tzvi Finkel. Rav Natan Tzvi Finkel had a yeshiva, 4,000 students. Another yeshiva, or another kollel, with another 1,000 plus students. And he had, his organization was tremendous. Buildings and huge organization. Something, Baruch Hashem, something amazing. And he had his donors, he had his people that would take care of things, millions of dollars. He was already set. Now, Rav Finkel already was his older age, and for many years, he had Parkinson's. The doctors told him already many years ago that maybe he has 6 months to live. 12 months to live. He lived decades with this Parkinson's. So now he thinks, okay, you know what, let me go introduce the group, the billionaires, to Rav Finkel. He doesn't need their money. So I'll show him what Judaism is about. So they all ask, where are we going? They go, oh, let's go to his house. Actually, first, let's go to his kollels, his yeshivot. And they see building, another building, another building, another building. Hundreds and hundreds of people, like amazing, something out of this world. Like this is like a huge company. But everybody's learning Torah, like running this world from these kollels. Everybody sees, wow, this is a serious organization. Who's behind it? It's Rav Finkel. Let's go see him. Said, oh, you can go meet him at his house. Go meet him at his house. Okay. So They all get on the road to go to his house, and they slowly but surely get to his neighborhood, and they think they arrived at like some beat up neighborhood where full of gangsters or something. Like they see this neighborhood, they're looking for this mansion. They're looking for this monstrosity of a house, maybe $20 million minimum. I see this little tiny place. So you sure this is the right address? He goes, yeah, this is the right address. The Rav Lechem are taking them. This is where Rav lives. They go to the door, see this old door, knock, and the door makes enough noise to wake up a baby. It hasn't been oiled in a while. They go into the house, see a very, very beat up house, like simple house, nothing like they're used to in their billionaire lifestyles. This is the same Rav that runs this multi-million-dollar operation over there. That's our Rav Finkel. They go into a room, see there's 25 plastic chairs, the ones you buy for $5. It's 25 plastic chairs set up for them. In front of, and there's one chair on front. Oh, they're used to sitting on nice $1,500, $2,000 chair each time minimum. That's the cheap chair. The real chair at home is thousands of dollars. But okay, whatever, we could sit in plastic chairs. They sit down, and eventually they see this old man coming in, and he has two tzaddikim walking him, and they're holding his arms really, really strong. This is what Howard Schultz is telling the story. He was one of the 25. And when I see these two guys are holding him really, really strong, and I don't know why they're holding him so strong until I see him when he sits down. When he sits down, I see the Parkinson's. He couldn't even control his body. He was shaking constantly. He couldn't. Until the Rabbanit, his wife, comes, she gives him a pill, and eventually calms down a little bit. After he calms down, he gets right to it. Says, instead of saying, "How are you? Thank you for coming," he asks the crowd, "What did we learn from the Holocaust?" Everybody's looking at each other. We're thinking he was going to give us Dvar Torah, tell us about Moses, Noah. State of Israel is so nice, wonderful. He's asking us straight up, where do we learn about the Holocaust? So one guy says that the Nazis are evil. Another guy says that's why we need to have an army. We need to support the IDF. Another guy says, yes, we need to invest money in weapons. We need to invest in our land. And all types of answers like that. And Rav says, yes, that's all fine. But what we can learn from the Holocaust is that 5 Jews can sleep on a space that's only 3 meters. I'm sorry, 1 meter. 1 meter. 3 feet. 3 feet's 1 meter. What? 5 Jews can sleep on 1 meter? What is this guy talking about? We see in the Holocaust and the concentration camps, they didn't exactly give us luxury living over there. So each bed was exactly 1 meter. And they would let 1 meter thick. And they would have 5 Jews sleeping on each one of those beds. But we can see that not only were they able to sleep, that they managed fine because each one of the Jews was worried about the one next to him to make sure that he's covered by the blanket. And each Jew worried that the other one next to him was covered by the blanket so everyone could sleep fine. So what do we learn from there? And Rav Finkel says that if each Jew worries about the one next to him, everything will be fine. And we're taking care of each other. We're all going to be covered. No one's going to be left out in the cold. But if each Jew just worried about himself, maybe only one would have a blanket. He says, you all have to get out a little more often and start looking around at the rest of the Jews next to you, because you're the only one that has the blanket. That's it. He finished talking and he left. So Howard Schultz says, later that night I was thinking to myself, yeah, the house and another house and another house and the company and the house and the vacation and the house and this and that. But there's something about what he said about how I need to worry about the next Jew next to me that hit me. So you know what? If I need to worry about the next Jew next to me, who's better off than helping him out? The one, Rav Finkel, that told me this lesson. So at 12 o'clock at night that night, I couldn't sleep. I made a call. I said, listen, you need to get me back to Rav Finkel's house. I said, no, it's too late. He goes, no, listen, you don't understand. I am Howard Schultz. Whatever I say goes. Get me there. I'll pay, no problem. Money's not a problem. Time's not a problem. You need to get me in front of this rabbi. Okay, they made things happen. He gets back to the same lowly house that he got to earlier that day. He sees that the lights are on. There's Avrichim still there. They let him inside. They let him into the room, and he sees Rav Finkel in front of the Gemara, shaking with his hands, uncontrollable. He's losing the Gemara. It falls, picks it up. He's fighting it. He's doing everything he can. He's learning Gemara. And he's thinking, Schultz is thinking to himself, it's like, why bother? What's in this book? Because he never learned Gemara. Because what's in this book that's so special? I mean, come on, you're sick, you're old. Go to sleep already. Patur, you're dismissed. You don't have to do this. He's thinking to himself, like, what's in this book? But he's into it, he's learning. And, Howard Schultz is standing over there waiting. 5 minutes pass. Still waiting. The rabbi still hasn't acknowledged him even hasn't said hello. Finally, one of the Avachim goes to the rabbi because he knows that if he doesn't tell him, then he can sit there 5 hours and the rabbi won't know he's there. It's into his Gemara. He said, for the Rav, the man is here. This is Howard Schultz. He looks at him and goes, yes, how can I help you? Because I thought about what the rabbi said, and it makes sense that we have to worry about each other. And I said, I want to ask you, how much does it cost to run your organization each month? And he says, $2 million each month. And the donors that Rav Finkel had knew that they would give him big money because they knew how much he sacrificed. There was one time a side story. They tell about him that there was one time he came to raise money in the U.S. I think it was U.S. And the just so happened that the elevator was broken, and the guy lived on or his office was on the 30th floor. So Rav Finkel says, okay, we're going to walk up the stairs. Like, for the Rav, not only are you sick and old, but even someone that's young and not sick, walking up 30 flights of stairs, it's a lot. I remember when we had Hurricane Sandy in New York, I lived on the 35th floor. We refused. For 4 days, we didn't leave the house. On the 4th day, we said, okay, maybe this is going to last for a while. We found out from one of the neighbors that our building was damaged, where pretty much we're going to be out of commission for a while. So we decided to leave. To go down the stairs, not up, down the stairs, 35 stairs, I thought I was going to die. Down the stairs, not up. Rav Finkel says, I'm going up the stairs. He went up 30 stories to get to the house. As soon as the guy opened the door, passed out. But the guy wrote him a big check right on the spot, seeing how someone is willing to sacrifice his life for his avrechim, to have food to eat. It's not for him. He's not getting 50% of the money or anything like that. Everything goes to the kollel to have these avrechim have food to eat. So anyway, so he tells Howard Schultz, listen, it cost me $2 million a month. And Howard Schultz said, okay, listen, I brought a check. It's a blank check. Write any amount of money that you want. But no less than 3 months. No less than $6 million. Whatever the rabbi wants, you write. I can handle it. 100 million, 200 million, doesn't matter. Just write down whatever you want. So the rabbi takes the check. Says, this is mine? He goes, yeah, write down whatever you want. He goes, so I can do whatever I want with this check? He goes, yes. Well, okay. Takes a pen. He writes down on it. Because now, since this is mine, this is what I want you to do. Take this, go to this specific guy that's around the block, tell him I sent you, and buy tefillin for yourself. It's $1,200. That's what? $1,200. He wrote a check for $1,200. I'm giving it to you as a gift back, because it's my check now. I'm giving you $1,200, so you go, do tefillin. No one's ever talked to Howard Schultz this way. He goes, follows instructions, goes to the place, knocks on the door. It's, 1 o'clock in the morning. Someone answers the door. How can I help you? He goes, yeah, I'm here to buy tefillin. Oh yeah, how much are you looking to spend? He goes, yeah, this is check $1,200 for these tefillin. He goes, oh, I'm sorry, I don't know you. I don't take your checks. He goes, no. You know who I am? You cover this check 1,000,000 times over. I have billions. He goes, I don't know. Everybody comes to me every day, tells me they have billions. I don't know you. I don't take your checks. I don't know you. I don't take your checks. He goes, what do you mean? I could cover that. He goes, you have cash? He goes, no, I don't have $1,200 in cash on me. He goes, sorry, come back tomorrow. He goes, yes, but, Rav Finkel sent me. He goes, oh, they should have said something. Okay, fine, no problem. I'll give you the tefillin. Rav Finkel I trust. Rav Finkel I know. You, I don't know. Billionaire, no billionaire. Everybody says they're a billionaire. So Howard Schultz says he's like, I'm thinking the whole night. This rabbi could have had any amount of money that he wanted. He had a blank check that actually would clear. And all he can care about is that I lay tefillin every day. And he says, I bought the tefillin, and the one thing that connects me to Judaism every day is that since that day I lay tefillin. That's it. When someone works on their midot to such an extent that they want to glue themselves to Hashem Yitbarach, material, it's not that it's no longer important. Material becomes meaningless. Mamash, meaningless. You look at $50,000 the same way you look like a hammer. It's a tool. It's 100% tool. Hammer is a tool that you use to put nails in the wall, or protect yourself in case a terrorist comes at you. That's what you use a hammer for. The money, same thing. You go buy food, buy a car, buy a house, whatever it is that you need to buy. But it's 100% tool. Once you look at money as a tool, then you could start saying that, okay, you know what? My teshuva has begun. My teshuva has begun. Because as long as you have the mindset where you're thinking that money is holy, Money is it's a sacred thing. It's an important thing. Then you can't even learn the rest of this parasha that talks about how there's going to be a special place for people that we need to protect them because of accidental murders. You know, someone that murdered someone on purpose obviously gets a death penalty. But someone that murdered somebody on purpose, not on purpose, accidental. He was carrying something, it fell, hit somebody on the head, died. He moved around, accident, the guy died. So they have special places for him to protect him because technically the family is allowed to go kill this guy. But unless we understand the holiness of the Torah to such an extent that we have just basic level Mussar, we wouldn't understand in a logical way why there's more signs that are placed in the streets to protect this accidental murderer than we even had signs for the Bet HaMikdash. Logically, it wouldn't make sense. What do you mean? Bet HaMikdash, you should have a sign in every single corner. Every single corner should have a sign. Bet HaMikdash, right. Bet HaMikdash, left. Bet HaMikdash, 3 miles down the road. Just like when you go on the highway, you want to go from exit 1 to exit 6, there's 80 different signs for the McDonald's. Le'avdil for the Bet HaMikdash, you should have at least 3 signs. No, it's not that many signs. Rarely any signs. But the city that protects the accidental murderers, there's a sign in every corner. Every corner has a sign. Logically, does it make sense? Does it make sense to anybody here? Why they would have more signs for the guy that murdered somebody, the city, for the cities of refuge? So here's the explanation of Torah. The cities of refuge were there to protect the accidental murderers, and only someone that murdered somebody by accident or killed somebody, is a better word, killed somebody by accident, is allowed to go there, because there they'll protect it. No one's allowed to enter it. They're protected. So if the family wanted to kill this person, if they killed him, they wouldn't be charged. Before he got to that city. Once he's in that city, they're not allowed to enter it. But they're allowed. They can't stop them. He killed their, I don't know, their family member. They're allowed to take revenge. But once he's there, he's protected. Which means that somebody, as soon as they had an accident, they'd run there as soon as possible so nobody kills them. So Torah wanted to make sure that they are protected and they can get there in the easiest possible way without any embarrassment. Why? Because if there was no signs, they would go ask people, they're knocking on the door, excuse me, do you know where the cities of refuge is? What would the kids say? Abba, look, a murderer is at our door. Why is he looking for the cities of refuge? Because he's a murderer. Look, Abba, a murderer. Look, neighbor, a murderer. Everybody pointing to this guy, murderer, murderer, murderer. Guy be scanned. It's an accident. He didn't mean it on purpose. Now you're embarrassing him on top, which embarrassing somebody in public is the equivalent of murder. It's actually worse than murder. Murder, if you murder somebody, you get chayav mitah. Somebody gets death penalty. But murdering somebody in public, meaning that you embarrassing somebody in public, amalbin pnei chavero barabim, en lo chelek l'olam haba. Has no share of the world to come. It's worse than murder. Embarrassing somebody in public. So now, we learn this from David HaMelech, who learned it from his great-great-great-grandmother, Tamar, and Judah, in Sefer Bereshit. So anyway, so if he kept knocking on the door, every time he knocked on the door, he's getting embarrassment all over again. Oh, is it 3 miles from here, 2 miles from here? He's constantly embarrassed. It's a horrible, horrible thing. It's worse. It's not measure for measure anymore. Okay, yes, I murdered somebody by accident, but I don't deserve to be embarrassed every 2 minutes for the rest of my life. That's not measure for measure. So Torah is fair. Hashem, always righteous. That's what we say in our prayer. It's in Tehillim. Hashem is always a tzaddik, always has tzedek, always measure for measure, always precise. Now, okay, that explains one hand. To finish the point, why doesn't the Bet HaMikdash have at least just as many signs? At least just as many signs. No? Somebody has to have an answer. No, think about it for a second, you'll have an answer.
Why doesn't it have as many signs?
At least as many signs, or, more signs even. Bet HaMikdash, holy place. Don't you want people to go there?
For a different reason.
That's the obvious reason.
You want to be, there you're embarrassing someone.
Right, so that's embarrassing somebody. So
there you're going to a place of worship. You're going to a place to...
So why wouldn't you help people get there then? By having more signs. They know how to get there. They get there faster.
It's probably get a mitzvah to get, if you get lost, and it takes you longer, you get more mitzvot. I don't know.
Chazak u'baruch shekivanta, you're in the right direction. So I'm going to tell you a story to finish tonight. Okay. Look at how genius Hashem is, how perfect He is, how every single mitzvah that He does is so perfect and so sweet. It's mamash delicious when you think about it. As I learned from Rabbi Reuven. I'll tell you a story. Arav Miponovich, which is Rav Shlomo Kahneman, one time went to the Chafetz Chaim. He said, Kvod Arav, I'm trying to raise money for the yeshivot. I get a small donation here, $100 here, $100 there, $50, $10. I have to go from city to city to city to city to try to get the money for one yeshiva. Non-stop mesirut nefesh from city to city. I'm begging people. What I get, a rich guy, multimillionaire, has a $50 million house. He gives me $50. Another guy, multimillionaire, says, oh, here's a Coke bottle. Doesn't even give me money. I go, I have to collect money. But I have to go from place to place. Who donates the most, by the way? Who donates the most? The poor people. No, bemet. When it comes to Torah, poor people are the ones that donate the most money. I can tell you from experience, but also from seeing it in my life. 100%. There are, of course, Baruch Hashem, there are, of course, some rich people that donate to causes. No questions asked. But as far as percentage-wise, you can't compare. You cannot compare the generosity of people that are lower income to the generosity of the people that are higher income. Can't compare. It's like comparing a zebra to an ant. It's two different worlds, bichlal. There's nothing they have in common. The pocket and the generosity of someone that's lower class, even poor, versus someone that's wealthy, average, different worlds. Different worlds. And this is not just Judaism, this is across the board in general. So anyway, the Rabbi Ponovich says, I have to go from city to city. He goes, says, Chafetz Chaim says, Kvod Arav, come on. We learn this from ParaShat Shoftim, chapter 19, the cities of refuge. Because for the same reason that Hashem protected all of the people that that murdered accidentally or that killed accidentally by putting a lot of signs. So make sure that they have one direction. They look at the sign, they know exactly where to go, so they have their protection. This is why he has, let's say for example, somebody that's looking to build a university, a secular university. It's going to teach people that we all came from monkeys. He just has to go to one rich guy's house. The guy wrote a check for $100 million. Thank you very much. Good luck with the university. Just make sure you have my name on the each building. So when I go there once every 25 years, I can tell people, see, I did this. Because same thing. Hashem doesn't want to publicize this university to the world. So you just make sure that one rich guy doesn't have the zchut to do Kiruv, doesn't have the zchut to do Teshuva, doesn't have the zchut to do anything. So he wants his money, that Hashem gave him anyway, to be used to keep this university a secret. One guy's going to donate for the entire university. When it comes to Teshuva, when it comes to Torah, when it comes to holiness, Hashem wants you to be just like the Bet HaMikdash, where He wants you to get lost. He wants you to only get $50 from the rich guy, and $12 from the other rich guy, and $6 from that guy, and $8 from the poor person, and even $150 from another poor person that just gave you his entire week's salary. Why? Because just like the Bet HaMikdash, He wanted everybody to get lost, so they end up knocking on the doors. And He says, listen, do you know where the Bet HaMikdash is? And the kid says, Abba, why don't we go to the Bet HaMikdash? Why don't we go to the Bet HaMikdash? So then when you go from house to house and you collect $20 here, $20 there, $50 there, you're spreading the information, you're spreading the knowledge. Oh, there's going to be another kollel in Yerushalayim. There's going to be another CD that's printed next month. There's going to be another yeshiva that's opening in New Jersey. You're doing marketing for Hashem. And that's what Hashem wants. That's why He doesn't give you one donor. He gives you many. Because He wants you to keep knocking on more doors. That's what Chafetz Chaim did. And that's what this parasha is all about. When we have Da'at Torah, we can understand what this means. Why they would protect the prisoner and give him more signs. But when we don't have Da'at Torah, then we're still thinking money is so important that we can't even get to even understand who this prisoner is and why they protect them. We're still stuck on the 3rd verse of the parasha. V'lo tikach shochad. Shochad ya'aver einei chachamim. Because we're still blinded by the money. He says even the wise people, if they take bribes, they can't understand why we would protect the accidental murderer. Any questions? Baruch Adonai Leolam. Amen ve'amen.